Greetings and welcome to the Hope Recovery Podcast, hosted by Greg Schmalhofer. The Hope Recovery Podcast provides faith-based recovery messages to help you be successful in recovery and to grow in your faith as well. Hello and welcome to the Hope Recovery Podcast. I'm your host, Greg Schmalhofer, and this is episode number 51. So thank you so much for joining me today on the Hope Recovery Podcast. Today's podcast episode is called You Can Change the Future, and it is based partly on a message from my book, The Hope Recovery Devotional. This message for today, that you can change the future, is really a quite profound message. That while you cannot change the past, you can change the future. Your past does not have to determine your future. After living a life in addiction for many years, there will likely be many things you've done that you wish you could forget, and that you hate to even think about, that you wish you could take back. You may reflect on your past addiction and how you treated your spouse or your mom or dad or friend or coworker, and you may have many regrets of how you hurt these people and so many others, and even the damage you caused to so many people and so many relationships. You will probably wish those memories would just go away and be forgotten forever because they are just too painful. Narcotics Anonymous from page 29 describes this painful look at the past and the hopeful look toward the future when we bring God into the picture, when NA states this. They say, we must be done with the past, not cling to it. We want to look our past in the face and see it for what it really was and release it so we can live today. The past, for most of us, has been a ghost in the closet. We have been afraid to open that closet for fear of what that ghost may do to us. We do not have to look at the past alone. Our wills and our lives are now in the hands of our higher power. That quote is a great way that N.A. describes the damage of the past, and yet also the dramatic difference when you let God as your higher power define your future. Perhaps you are holding on to your past. Perhaps you are still letting your past define your future. But you do not need to feel that way. God has something very different for you. Do not hold on to the past. Do not let your past determine your future. And while it is true you cannot change the past, it is also true that your past does not need to dictate your future. What a powerful thought and what a powerful truth that really is. Regardless of what has happened in your past, and even regardless of where you are at right now, you can change your future. And I ask you to pause and consider, what do you want for your future? What do you want your future to look like? Let me suggest to you that with God in your life, your future can be dramatically different from your past. You may look back at your past and you may realize you were a terrible mom or dad or husband or wife or terrible friend or even a terrible employee, or many other ways you may have failed your loved ones, and many other ways you may have failed God. But your future can be very different. As you seek God's will in your life, you can change your future. The Bible passage from Luke relates to this topic of God changing your future when it states excerpts from Luke chapter 5, verses 8 through 11, and it says this: When Simon Peter saw this, He fell at Jesus' knees and said, "Go away from me, Lord. I am a sinful man." Then Jesus said to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people." So they pulled their boats up on shore, left everything, and followed him. In this passage, the Apostle Peter came face to face with Jesus as the Son of God. And Peter recognized his sinful condition, and he fell to his knees and said to Jesus, "To go away from me, Lord, I am a sinful man." But Jesus had different plans for Peter. Jesus wanted a completely different life for Peter. God changed, if you will, the direction of Peter's life, and if you will, his career path from a fisherman to an apostle. Peter was going to eventually become one of the founding fathers of the church. What a dramatically different life for Peter. A dramatically different future, very different from his past, certainly, and one that he never even imagined as remotely possible. As you bring God into your life, you may feel like Peter did when he said, "Go away from me, Lord. I am a sinful man." Peter ultimately accepted the forgiveness of Jesus, and Peter had a transformed heart that transformed his entire life to one where he sought to honor God as he then followed Jesus. But Jesus understands you as well, and he knows your past. And even so, he has different plans for you. God has had different plans for Peter, and he has different plans for you as well. Peter went from being a fisherman to a great leader of the church. Peter's future was dramatically different from his past. For you today, God has a future for you that may be dramatically different from your past. One that you would never think possible before bringing God into your life. As you bring God into your life and leave your past in the past, God can do mighty things in your life. This topic of how God can change your future reminds me of the passage from Isaiah chapter 43, verse 19, that says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." With that passage, I encourage you to be open to what new thing God may be doing in your life. And I encourage you to seek God and to follow him every day. And you will begin to see this new thing that God has for your future. It may well be something that you never even imagined possible. Do not limit God, and do not limit what God can do in your life and how he might use you. You cannot change the past, but with God in your life, you can change the future. What a powerful message, and what a powerful truth of the Bible. As you pause right now, consider for yourself that with God in your life, you can indeed change your future. I encourage you, bring God into your life. Move on from your past life. Move on from your addiction. Let God help you to be successful in recovery. And with God in your life, you can indeed change your future. You can be the man of God or the woman of God that he wants you to be. So let me ask you, how do you want to change your future? So that is what I have for you today. Thank you very much for joining me today on the Hope Recovery Podcast. And remember, there is always hope with God. Take care, and God bless you all. That concludes the podcast episode for today. But let me remind you to subscribe or follow the podcast. And if there is any way I can help you or your recovery group, please feel free to email me at HopeRecoveryUs@gmail.com, and I would be happy to talk with you further. And again, take care, and God bless you all.